So, I move that given the fact that Qatar has signed a liquefied natural gas deal with France for 27 years for 3.5 million tons per annum MTPA, and given the fact that Qatar has signed an LNG deal with Germany for 15 years for 2 MTPA, and given the fact that the German Chancellor called on Canada for more LNG, saying, as Germany is moving away from Russian energy at warp speed, Canada is our partner of choice. This means increasing our LNG imports. We hope that Canadian LNG will play a major role in this. And given the fact that when the current Liberal Prime Minister took office, there were 18 LNG terminals proposed, and after 8 years of his government, 0 have been completed. The committee call on the House to denounce the regulatory regime established by this government that has not completed not a single solitary LNG export terminal from Canada. We only have 1 import facility, not a single solitary export LNG terminal from Canada, and that this committee report to the House its opinion that Canada should do everything it can to export its clean energy to the world. I ask today that this committee see the urgency, the urgent and severe consequences of 8 years of their anti-energy, anti-development, anti-Canada policy agenda, and the consequences of our allies enriching a country that houses the head of Hamas right now. I urge all the members of this committee, for the sake of our country and for our allies, to vote, debate, and vote in favor of this motion right now.
Yes, we have a speaker's list, Mr. Angus. We have Mr. Patzer, then yourself. Then Mr. Boyce. And then Monsieur Simard. And then Mr. Brusen.
Okay, thank you. Well, I want to thank my colleague for moving this motion because, yeah, I mean, given all the events that have gone along around the world the last couple of weeks here, I think this is of utmost importance, and I think it's of a sense of urgency that I think everyone around this table would agree that needs to be met. It's definitely within the purview of our committee as it's dealing with the development of natural resources within our country. It's definitely federal policy that's been set that has prevented a lot of this. It's been decisions at the federal level that have blocked and stopped LNG production in Canada for the last 8 years. And then we got to look at it. Not only do we have the conflict that's going on, right? And my colleague laid that out very, very well. But let's also look at, even in the context of the study that we have here today, right? Let's look at that context as well. We know what the rest of the world is looking for. They're looking for clean, reliable energy. We know that Canada has that. We produce that. We've heard from witnesses previously that Canada, our grid is already 84% non-emitting or renewable. The Americans are only 40%. The rest of the world would love to have what we already have, right? So, and we have this resource that's just sitting here that they're looking for so they can get to a place where we already at. So why we're not developing it and getting it out there to these folks is absolutely beyond me. And I think getting to this motion as quickly as we possibly can, and I think it's of complete importance, but again, let's get back to the conflict at hand here right now. And we're talking about the fact that a country that is housing terrorists, housing the head of Hamas, is the one who is going to be providing the world with LNG. And the Prime Minister said there was no business case. Well, I guess what? Qatar found a business case, and they are using it to fund terrorism. So that's what we're faced with. That's what we're seeing. That's what we're dealing with here now. And that's why this motion, I think, is of utmost importance that we need to be dealing with it.
Gross, so maybe you can talk with the urgency.
Yeah, so now we got people saying that this is gross. Yeah. Well, this is not gross. This is urgent. It's gross that there's no development being done on this.
Yeah.
And that we're now in the situation where people are going to a country that houses terrorists.
Allies.
That's what's gross. That's truly what's gross.
The other countries thought there was a business case.
It's clearly a business case. So why we're not trying to figure out how we can fill the needs of that business case. That's what this is about. We have the potential. There's 18 proposed. And after 8 years, we're at 0. So why we're not prioritizing this, again, given what's going on around the world, and extends beyond just what's going on in Israel right now. I mean, that's the issue of the day. That's very pertinent. But let's look at what's going on with the rest of Europe right now, with the invasion of the Ukraine, and the way Russia has been with the energy markets across Europe. That's why Germany came here in the first place. That's why France is came to us. That's why Japan has come to us. And now here we are. So I hope that the committee will take this motion, look at it with the urgency that it needs, that it deserves. You know, it's too bad that we have to wait for something to happen in the world, like has happened in multiple countries now, for this to happen, for us to get to the point where we need to start get the rest of the committee to take this with the urgency. Conservatives always had a sense of urgency around getting our resources to market. We've always prioritized this. I hope that the rest of the committee will do it now. But if that's what it takes is global conflict for them to get on board with it, well, I guess let's go. Let's go.
Thank you, Mr. Patzer. We'll go to Mr. Angus.
First of all, I'd like to deeply apologize to our witnesses who came in here with good faith about a very serious issue about our future. I'd also like to apologize for anybody out there who thinks that the Parliament of Canada would use the horrific kidnapping of hostages in Israel in order to promote selling oil and gas. I've seen a lot of reprehensible exploitation in my many years of Parliament, but I think that that's probably one of the most low-down, ugly things I've witnessed. And so to attempt to use the horrific crimes that have been committed as a reason to promote oil and gas, I'm just ashamed to sit here, so I vote that we move to adjourn this debate. It's non-debatable.
It's not a debatable motion, so it goes right to a vote, Mr. Angus. So to adjourn
The debate.
to adjourn debate, recorded. Can we get recorded division?
Okay. Ms. DeBruzen.
I support adjournment, yes.
Mr. Blois. Madame Lapointe.
Pour.
Mr. Sobara.
Adjourn, please.
Mr. McDonald. Mr. Dreeshen. Mr. Falk. Mr. Patzer.
Against.
Ms. Stubbs.
For the public interest of Canada and for the free world, against.
Monsieur Simard.
Pour.
Mr. Angus.
Yes.
Yeas pour 7, nays contre 4, 4.